But the point about this festival is that we can prevent that scenario from happening. And our response to that scenario is to think and act in transformative ways, to build a movement and to build a response that will phase out fossil fuels. From now till 2050, there's a lot that can be done to address the root causes of the problem. There's also opportunities for adaptation, where we can prepare our societies for what's coming. So from now till 2050, we don't have to be paralyzed by fear. We don't have to be paralyzed by not knowing. We already can see the impacts of climate extremes. The problem we have is that capitalism and its leadership are not taking this problem on. They are actually causing the problem. So, capitalism is killing all of us and killing life. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what's happening, comrades. That's what's happening. And so our politics also has to be anti-capitalist. It has to be anti-capitalist. We have to go to the root of the problem. We cannot run away from this. Now, in the Climate Justice Charter movement, which grew out of the drought, the worst drought in the history of South Africa, where we brought people together, we had dialogues with drought-affected communities, trade unions, social justice organizations, youth and young people, and we developed this charter, this vision for a new society that can handle the climate, the inequality challenge, the unemployment challenge, and so on. A charter that gives us a plurivision. We have unfinished tasks around apartheid. We haven't tackled that legacy. So the charter is saying, let's tackle that past. It is also saying, let's confront the current crisis in all its dimensions. But it's also saying, let's secure a common democratic and just future. So that charter has given us a framework for the past 6 years to elaborate and think about a different society. And we call that society a democratic eco-socialist society. There have been many, many socialisms in the 20th century. Social democracy, revolutionary nationalist socialisms, Nehruvian socialism, Nyererian African socialism, and so on. These have been all very valuable experiences for us as activists, as movements. We must learn from them. And that's what we have been doing in the climate justice space, is learning from them. Because those are movements that try to fight back. They try to build alternative societies. So our socialism takes from that history and it learns critical lessons. But it also speaks to the dangerous contradictions of our time, like the climate problem, the inequality, the unemployment, particularly amongst our young people. So our socialism is not stuck in the past. It is not about abstract blueprints. Our socialism is living. And at this festival, we're going to help you appreciate the content of that. When we talk about eco-mobility, when we talk about food sovereignty, when we talk about climate jobs, when we talk about rights of nature, that's the content of our democratic eco-socialism. So we're going to have a deep learning space with you over the day and a half to learn and engage and debate and think with us about the socialist alternative. The other point to make about the Climate Justice Charter and movement building process is that we've come to a conclusion that we are not a movement of lobbying government, because these leaders have failed us. They talk the talk of a presidential climate commission while pushing offshore oil and gas, more coal mines, etc. It just doesn't add up, comrades. It doesn't add up. So we are not about lobbying this government and this failed leadership, but neither are we just about performative woke politics where we do drama in the streets. No, the stakes are too high, and we need a political project And that's what the Climate Justice Charter and the movement building process has given us as activists. We need to be ambitious about the transformation of everything in our society. That's what is defining about us. And that's what you're going to also engage with over the next day and a half, is the ideas, the big ideas to bring about this transformation. What is the content of a just transition? We are answering that question. For 6 years, many young people that I hear who will run these workshop sessions have been clarifying this. They've been putting research together. They've been thinking with community, with society, and putting forward alternatives. Okay? This is important. And we're going to celebrate that work, and we're going to learn from that work, and we're going to further develop that work here with yourselves. The other point to make, and I'll conclude with this, is the idea of the commons. So in the poster, many of you must have come across this word, creating commons and commoning in community and workplace. Now what the hell is that? Well, very simply, think about a household. In a household, in your home, labor, the care labor in your home, that can be a commons. Typically what happens, it's women who cook the food, it's women who clean up, it's women who take care of you, do the washing, etc. But imagine we rethink labor, care labor in the household as a commons, where the men are cooking, the men are cleaning up, and so on. That's a commons right there in the household, care labor. Okay? Think of a picnic. When you go for a picnic, you go with family. To organize that picnic and you're camping for a few days, does all the labor fall on one or two people? It won't work, because you're all there together. You got to make your living space work. Somebody's got to go fetch water. Somebody's got to prepare the food, right? Somebody's going to make sure the tents are set up, etc. So you pool the care labor together right there. The care labor becomes a commons. You're creating commons in that picnic site. Okay. So commons is a library, comrades, in our community. It's something for all of us to benefit from, to use, to care for, etc. Commons could be the transport systems that we have, okay, in our communities. Pedestrianization, mass bus systems, the infrastructure we build, etc. That's our commons. So put simply, commons is our commonwealth that we all have. The land, the water, the biodiversity, the creative labor, the renewable energy, the earth system, our culture, our public infrastructure. That's all our commonwealth. And most of this commonwealth are gifts from nature. They are free. That's the beauty of this. But the capitalist system wants to make all of that commodities. And that's what's killing us. That's why we're heading towards this disastrous future. And that is why we've got to push back with the idea of the commons and make commons. Commons is the oldest decolonial institution we have. It's been with us for 200,000 years. 200,000 years. We need to bring it back, and that's what we are doing to survive together. Amandla! What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now! Enjoy the festival. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vish, for that introduction. My name is Jessica Ngwenya. I'm part of the CJCM here in Gauteng, and I'll be helping us through the program for today. Just some key highlights and important information that you need to know. It is a jam-packed program, as you can see. So we'll have some plenary sessions, which will happen in this room. And then behind me is the Commons room. There'll be some workshops in there. And in that space in the back there is the People Square. So you may need to take your chair to one of the spaces in the back when we head into those workshop sessions. And then just while we are in the workshops, just to keep track of time, make sure that it's a joyful and deep learning space. Will be an opportunity to ask questions, to to really deep dive some of these policies and alternatives that we've been working through in this space. Over there is the tea station, so we'll have some tea breaks later in the day. You can grab some tea and coffee there. Please do make sure that you leave some for the people who are coming after you, and we want to make sure that there's enough for the whole. And then at lunchtime, we'll have our lunch team who will be here to serve some lunch. They'll also be selling some meals during the day. And then just in terms of the bathrooms, if you head out through the gate and turn right and go straight, you'll see a building on your right. It's the only building that's there. That's where our bathrooms are. But that's it for now. If you see any of us who are wearing these t-shirts and you're confused, just come to one of us. We can help you figure anything out. And we thought it'd be great to start with a bit of a grounding session to get us started before the day. So I'd like to invite the team to come up.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum. Master. Wow. What an honor to be surrounded, to be in the company of such greatness, such beauty, such brilliance. Uko ingoma ethi i-agenda yama-capitalist, i-agenda yama-capitalist, i-agenda yama-capitalist, i-agenda yama-capitalist. Unaluhani i-agenda yama-capitalist, i-agenda yama-capitalist, agenda yama-capitalist, i-agenda yama-capitalist, i-agenda yama-capitalist. Mulisa Manzi, agenda yama-capitalist, agenda yama-capitalist, agenda yama-capitalist. Ulani Nansi, agenda yama-capitalist, agenda yama-capitalist. Agenda yama-capitalist, agenda yama-capitalist. Agenda yama-capitalist.
Mulisa Manzi.
Asifuni agenda yama-capitalist. What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Climate justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
Amazing. Recognizing all the honorable, gallant fighters from the Western Cape, from the Northern Cape, from Soweto, Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, and all the areas of this beautiful land. Speaking of land, Comrade Vish, thank you for the reminder of why we're here. We obviously stand in solidarity with all forms of life that have been subjugated and oppressed by one imperialist, capitalist forces, from Palestine to Uganda to Congo, Venezuela, Sri Lanka, and our struggle is one. We spoke of the gifts of nature. We spoke of the gifts of nature. We spoke of the gifts of nature. One of the things I feel guilty of, and I believe that I've been honored to be reminded of, is the traditions of gratitude. Traditions of gratitude, composting. How do we give back? How do we share our gratitude to the mother, to Mother Nature? We're not thankful enough of the care labor that the divine feminine, that the women who hold half the sky up and carried us through to where we are. We're not thankful of the fruits and the gifts of water. We're not thankful of the air. We're not thankful of the soil. In this box is some soil. Umhlaba, mobu. There's a practice and a belief that umhlaba uyaphila. And it's one of the things we we have to remember, that the soil is alive. Even scientists have found, and they continue to find, that a handful of soil has more life than the entire planet in terms of population. Just a handful of soil has more life in terms of the population of microorganisms and forms of life than the entire population of the human species. But what do we treat it as? How do we treat it? What is our relationship with Umhlaba, with Mobu? Alright? And in terms of our beliefs, as we return to who we are, how would it look like in our gardens if we knew that Umhlaba is alive? It's a living, breathing, caring mother. Because even scientifically, we define soil as like a result of erosional forces. You know, which means after everything is said and done, we all return to this. So as we sit here in Johannesburg, we know that there's been many people that have sacrificed from all over the continent, even the world actually, endangered labor from China, India, to Mozambique, Tanzania, Malawi, who sacrificed their blood and sweat and tears for us to enjoy where we are. And they returned to the soil. They returned to the soil. So as a practice in some of the gardens that we are fortunate to tend to be custodians of, we always want to start by appreciating the soil, gaining an appreciation of the soil, having to look again at the soil to see what we have missed. Maybe once we repair our relationship with the soil, you know, we'll be able to be thankful to the soil for the gifts that the soil and the land have given us. Whether it's given us belonging, it has given us health, nutrition, food. I know in the beautiful Xhosa people, Namampondo, and others, I'm sure the people of Namakwa will say, they also use the soil to, even in the Islamic tradition, as a purifying agent to cleanse themselves, sometimes for cosmetic purposes. Imbola. So I'm gonna invite you, like in church when they pass the the charity plate. Gonna pass this soil around. Gonna invite all of us to just take a moment to look at the soil. Silently or quietly, you can just look at it. Look at what you've missed. Think about all the people and the animals, more than human life, that make up this soil. The stuff you see and you don't see, and just say thank you to the soil as a prayer, as an intention, and we're going to treat that as a fertilizer. And once you've done that, maybe for 2 minutes, just say thank you in your language and however you want to do it. It's going to make your hands dirty. Just say thank you to the soil, and then we'll take that magic, we'll put it back together and sprinkle it in this commons. And inshallah, hopefully, that magic will continue to bless this land that we are on, and this land will know and receive our thanks. So I'm gonna pass it around. I'm gonna take a piece myself and look at it and thank it for the gifts, and pass it around for you to do the same, and I'll come back and collect. Mark. All right, there'll be water. There'll be water for washing your hands, and a little water practice afterwards. Sorry for one minute. My farmer. Oh, I just did this.